Hello! So I'm going to talk about splines and some of their uses when it comes to modelling. First of all, I'll just go over what they are exactly. You've got your create panel up here, then next to your 3D primitives, etc. panel, you have shapes and splines. Now in the drop down menu there's a whole bunch of stuff. You don't need to know any of this right now, maybe compound shapes later, splines, but right now just splines. And all that gives you is a lot of preset kind of shapes, right? Line is the most basic, which allows you to draw things out. Now, when you're making splines, they will draw on the ground plane. If I click here, well, it's going to go absolutely mental because I'm looking at it at a really weird angle, and it's kind of freaking out about where to put them. So when you're drawing splines, it's best to be looking at the top view, looking down. There we go. Looking at down, and then what I'll do is I'm just going to draw a shape. So we're going to make a mushroom shape. So I'm going to draw, I don't know why I'm making a mushroom this time. I'm just going to draw out, and you're just clicking to make your shape. It's nothing really fancy about that. You can trace shapes. We'll do materials, we'll talk more about doing that, but you can just go out and trace your shape. And then what that allows you to do is make you any custom shape you want, drawing it out as splines. So you'll see the purpose of this later. Right now, I'll talk about the makeup of the spline. So if I click on the modify panel, you'll see you've got vertices, segments, and splines. So vertices is exactly the same as a 3D model. It's the points that hold everything together, and you can go in and you can move them around after you've drawn them, so you don't have to be totally accurate the first time. You can go and manipulate it. Segments, is the edges, so you can go in and you can move the edges around. And then splines is basically the whole thing. Now it is possible to have multiple splines attached to each other. So just as an example, I'm just going to copy this over, shift and drag, remember? And then I'll attach them, and then with spline selected, you'll see it's going to select the whole thing. So a single spline doesn't have to be one continuous line. It can be a bunch of things all stuck together. For the most part right now, you're probably not going to have to deal with that though. So it's pretty rough. It's very straight edge. If I want that to be curved, I can go in and change what type of vertex, or vertex I should say, a vertex. I don't know what it is. Is it vertex? Vertex. I say vertex. You can go in and change what type it is. So at the moment, you'll see it's straight lines going boom, boom, boom. If you go in, right click on that, you can change the type to smooth, which will average out the curve of the edge between the two of them. And you can do that for all of the ones there we go, up at the top. No, I want to smooth you. Smooth. There you go. So you can smooth them out. You can change it to what's called a bezier, which you may have heard of in other things. So a bezier is basically a point with these two anchor points attached to it. So that's an anchor point. There you get two handles. If you've ever used Adobe Illustrator and done that vector graphics, then you'll be very familiar with these. It's exactly the same. And you can go in and you can adjust the handle to change how much it's curving. You can also hold shift to move each handle individually. So say I wanted to do that, for example. Let's do that same on the other side. So I need to convert that to a bezier. And then I'll just hold shift and move that down and make this nice thing here. So to convert that, say I was happy with that, that's the shape I wanted for whatever reason. Actually, I'm just going to smooth them out as well. There you go. So I'm happy with that. The easiest way to make it into a 3D model, really, or the most basic I should say, rather than the easiest, is just right click it, convert to editable poly, and that will basically fill it in as a giant polygon. Now it's going to be an absolute mess if you watch the video on loops and quads. If I go here, you'll see that that is not a quad. That has added vertices around the whole edge so that it can support those curves that are there, because an edge on a 3D model can't curve like ones on a spline can. So what you need to do in this case is go and tidy it all up. So I can select both them, go in, do connect, draw the edge, and then you can sit here and blah blah blah, just spend ages fixing it up. So it's not that you necessarily going to be the best option for making something, but you can get some pretty cool shapes, especially if you're trying to copy something specifically. Then you can go in, and it doesn't take long to do, it's just a wee bit tedious. You can go in and then just start fixing everything up here. So that is one way to make a 3D model out of a spline. I'm not going to finish doing the rest of this. I kind of want to though, but I'm not going to. That's one way to turn a spline into a 3D model. Once you've got that done, you can go in and do anything you could normally do. You'll notice it's completely flat. It's still a two-dimensional shape, but you can go in and extrude it up and then do whatever. So I can go in, I can go modeling, I can go in with my Swift loop, I can go in, add some supported edges, I can extrude bits out, I can do whatever I would normally do, but you can just get some pretty wild shapes with it. But that is not the be all and end all of spline modeling. There's a lot more you can do with splines, so I'm just going to backtrack a bit. If I can go back far enough, can I? Yeah. So there's a couple of tools that are really cool. Now there's one called Lathe, which is great fun. And what that's going to do is it's going to take your spline, I'll show you, it's exactly like a lathe, like a woodworking or a metal lathe, and it's going to spin it around, like so. If I put the edges on, no, it's not an editable poly yet. I'll right click, convert to editable poly, and then you'll see it's drawn out this shape here. Now, this is not great because all the black polygons are basically flipped, like they're normals. However, the positive side of the polygon is on the wrong side. So when you're lathing something, you're usually best just making half of it and lathing that round. So let's do that. I'm going to go in, I'm going to actually just delete half of this, like that. And then I'm going to go in here. In fact, I don't even need to close that off. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to lathe it. So we've got lathe, and the whole thing's negative now. So what you'll see there is the option to flip normals. So you do that, and it creates it all as a nice lathe mushroom shape. Now there's a wee hole at the top there because this bit is clearly not lined up with that bit. So you do need to be quite careful with things, but you can go and fix it later. If I right click, convert to editable poly, then I can go in and quite easily fix any bits that need done. Well, that's actually, yeah, that's negative polygons under there. That's what's causing that hole. So let's just neaten this up. Go in, and then I could use my connector bridge even to go and connect these up. So let's just do that. And remember, I'm trying to make quads as much as I can. Now, it's not the absolute end of the world if you end up with something that's not a quad, but try and make quads because it will make your life easier in the long run. So I'm just going to do these guys as well. Bridge, and then I'll get nice here, cap, and cap. And then what I could actually do is, so I've got, these are all quads, these are tries, that's not a big deal. I'll just leave it like that, that's fine. So we have to do a wee bit of cleanup, but for the most part, it's pretty good. So that's lathing. Obviously you can make way more than mushrooms. You can make anything that's kind of swooshed around, so you'll see it used for vases, glasses, as in drinking glasses, tin cans, wheels, there's loads of stuff that you could use it for. But it's quite a fun tool to play with, and it's really easy. If we go and look at the, can I undo? Can I undo? I can't undo. That's pretty annoying. So I'll just have to draw out another quick shape. So what I'll do instead is, let's do I don't know. Let's do text. So you can go in, draw out your text tool here, and then you can change that to things. So I'm just going to change that to winning, like so, and that'll create splines for that. So you can go in and you could I don't know what would happen if you laid that. It would probably be an absolute mess, but let's find out. Lathe. This is what I keep saying. It's like it's worth just playing around with things. Yeah, look at that. What a state. That's kind of cool. But what you can do is a thing called lofting, which is a lot of fun. So I can take what you're going to do is draw a path for something. I'm going to make a helix because I like helixes. A helix is basically like a big curve, like so. That you can go up, you can adjust how wide it is, how high it is, how many turns there are, etc. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this along this shape, so I have a big 3D winning flying around. Now, this might be a bit of a mess as well, but rather than in the modifier list, I'm sure this used to be a modifier, but it's not anymore. If you go to Splines, Compound Shapes, go to Create, and then Compound Objects, and then Loft. Now what you're going to get here is, on this object, you're going to get this Loft panel. I'm going to go to Get Path, and click on this, and you'll see it's swooshed it all around. So that's kind of cool. Winning. That's really cool, actually. You can obviously do this with any object you want. You could do it with the mushroom, as long as it's a spline. You could do it with the mushroom. You could do it with maybe if you were doing cornicing or something on the inside of a room, then you could use this to just quickly, I'll just get a quick easy shape. You could draw a really elaborate spline. You could trace the line over something, and then just get like a cylinder or circle, and then just loft it around and create this big elaborate shape. It's really, really handy. The other one you can do, other thing you can do with modelling with splines is your path deform. So I'll talk about that in another video because I'm going to do another making a weapon video. So play with splines. They are good fun. They are very useful. The more you kind of just play with them, you'll start to think about things you could use them for. As is usual with 3D, there's not much right or wrong ways to do things. I mean, there are, but if you get an end result that you're happy with, then that's all that really matters. So play about with splines, try lofting, try lathing, try drawing shapes, and just see what you can do with them, converting them to 3D, into polys, because they're great. Splines are incredibly powerful and useful tools. So have fun with that. Bye.